Let's follow along. So the subject tonight is calm. So we learned in chapter 2, in verses 62 and 63, while contemplating the objects of the sense objects, a person develops attachment. From attachment in such sense objects, lusty desire develops. From lusty desire, anger becomes manifest. From anger, perfect illusion takes place. From such complete illusion occurs bewilderment of memory. After bewilderment of memory, loss of intelligence arises, and from loss of intelligence, one falls down. So that we learned in chapter 2. So these two verses and tonight's section, they go hand in hand. Now in chapter 16, when we get there, Krishna will say, there are 3 gates which lead to hell: lust, anger, and greed. Therefore, these 3 one must give up because they are destructive to the real interest of one's true self. So the interest of the true self is to return to the spiritual world, the kingdom of God, not to come back and take birth again. The example I give, that according to the Vedas, material existence is a prison life. In a prison, you have that prison garb. Sometimes it's orange, so that you're designated. Oh, here is the prisoner because of the dress. So what is our prison dress? A material body. The goal of human life should be to get out of the prison, to become free, to become liberated, and ultimately to go to the kingdom of God. So that's my real self-interest. So Krishna says, if you want that, then these 3 gates or doors to hell, God, don't go through those doors. There's a game show, I remember back in the 60s. Besides one, there were 3 doors. Behind one door was this fabulous prize.
It's still there.
It's still there?
Yes.
And then the other door is some chump prize.
Yeah.
So door number 1, and the person had to guess. So door number 1, lust. Door number 2, greed. Door number 3, anger. Krishna says, don't open those doors. Don't go down that path. Now, the next reference is in Srimad Bhagavatam. Sutta Goswami is speaking to the sages of Naimisharanya. For those who have developed the urge to hear the virtuous message of Krishna's own words, Krishna certainly cleanses the desire to enjoy matter. So that's lust. Lust is the desire to enjoy matter. Krishna cleanses that desire from within their hearts by such hearing and chanting. What are we doing tonight? We're hearing and chanting. So what is Krishna doing right now in your little heart? He's cleansing little by little the lust. Because Krishna is the benefactor of the truthful devotees. What's a benefactor? Somebody who endows you with some great wealth, a benefactor.
Gives.
Yes, he gives. Yes. So Krishna is your ultimate benefactor, and when you hear Krishna's message, he benefacts you by cleansing your heart. Now, in the 3rd canto, Kapil Dev says to his mother, Devahuti, when one is completely cleansed of the impurities of lust and greed, produced from the false identification of the body as I and bodily possessions as mind, one's mind becomes purified. In that pure state, one transcends the stage of so-called material happiness and distress. So again, that beginning lesson of Bhagavad Gita. Becoming convinced, I'm not my body, I'm not these senses. That is purification. That's why Krishna began his teachings with that. That's the beginning. You can't go on to your subject of Radha, which we're going to get into tonight, by the way. You can't get into that until this first thing is understood. You have to become at least theoretically convinced that I'm not the body. At least theoretically. The realization of that takes time. Okay? Then in Canto 5, Rishabdev says to his 100 sons, headed by Bharat. Rishabdev is another incarnation of Krishna. Rishabdev told his sons, lust, anger, pride, greed, lamentation, illusion, fear, all these 6 taken together constitute bondage to fruitive activities. And the origin of all this is the mind. If one is indeed learned, should one put faith in one's own mind? We will learn in chapter 6 of Gita, your mind can be your best friend or it can be your worst enemy. And we will learn in chapter 6, Krishna says, if you can control the mind, your mind becomes your best friend. But if you don't control the mind, Krishna says, then your own mind can become your worst enemy. Okay? Now we go.
Your mind are 2 different things.
What's that?
That is, you and your mind are 2
Yes,
different things.
because the mind is still material. It's subtle material. It's an instrument, like I play the guitar. I'm not the guitar, I'm the player of the guitar. So the mind is just an instrument that I can use for good things or bad things. The choice, and that's my position. I'm on that position. I can go this way or I can go that way. Parents, what's your job with your children? Point them in the right direction. That's your duty as parents. That's why, kids, your parents are your best friend. Because they're only trying to guide you down the right path. Okay? Yes, parents, that's why you like me. Okay. In the 11th canto, Krishna says to Uddhav, attachment to material objects of sense gratification arises because the person presumes them to be good. And from that presumption, lust comes into being. And from that material association, quarrel among humans arises also. From quarrel, intolerable anger and ignorance arises, which swiftly seizes the broader consciousness of a person because of that anger followed by ignorance. This section in the Bhagavatam of Krishna speaking to Uddhava is very parallel to Krishna speaking to Arjuna. If you read that in its many chapters of the 11th canto, it's very similar to Bhagavad Gita, but it's a little more sophisticated because that's the way Bhagavatam is. Srimad Bhagavatam is the same information as Bhagavad Gita, but it's elaborated and more sophisticated. So this statement we just read is very similar to what we study tonight in Bhagavad Gita. The next excerpt, again from the Uddhava Gita. A person endowed with the mode of goodness can be deduced by one's qualities of sense control, peacefulness, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, wisdom, and religiousness. That is how you determine someone's in the mode of goodness. It's exactly the same thing is in chapter 18. In chapter 18, Krishna will outline what is a Brahmana. And he'll say, Brahma karma. This is how a Brahmin acts. Krishna never says Brahma Janma. He never says a born Brahman. He says a Brahmana is distinguished by how he acts. So these are the symptoms. If you see somebody who has sense control, who's peaceful, who's austere, who's pure, who's tolerant, who's honest. Finding an honest person nowadays, very rare to find an honest person. Somebody who's wise, someone who's religious. Now you know somebody's in the mode of goodness. One is in the mode of passion can be deduced by one's great material attachment, fruitive activity, intense material endeavor, and uncontrollable material desire and hankering. That's the mode of passion. And then the mode of ignorance, foolishness, inertia, madness, and illusion. So when you see these symptoms, now you know, oh, this person is in the mode of ignorance. Then, in the 12th canto, there is the Song of Mother Earth. In the 12th canto, there's this section, the Song of Mother Earth. So one of her prayers is, great rulers of men, even those who are learned, meet frustration and failure because of material lust. Driven by lust, these kings place great hope and faith in the dead lump of flesh called the body, even though the material frame is as fleeting as bubbles of foam on water. Now, you young kids, that doesn't make sense to you. But me, 68 years old, I see it every day in the mirror. I see how this body is dwindling. You young kids, you got energy, you look in the mirror, hey, I look good today, man. Right? But as you get older and the body starts to decay, you'll understand, oh yes, this is a temporary, it's like a flower. When the flower is first cut, it's so nice. But then after some time, the flower wilts. Same way with this wonderful material body that we dress and pamper and like that. Okay? Then we have the teaching of Lord Chaitanya. This is one of his favorite, let's just say famous teachings. This is Bengali language. Krishna Bhakta Nishkam Ata Eva Shanta Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Shokali Ashanta. A devotee of Lord Krishna, or Krishna Bhakta, is actually free from lusty desire for material sense enjoyment, Nishkam, and is therefore peaceful, Shanta. But because those who are desirous of either material enjoyment, bhukti, perfection in yogic performance, siddhi, or liberation from material existence, mukti, they are not peaceful. But the Krishna devotee, he's peaceful. And then finally, here is a statement from Lord Shiva to his wife Parvati. This is in Bhagavatam. Narayana parasarve na kutaschana bibyati svarga pavarga narakeshvapi tulyartha darshina. The background of this statement, I'll tell the quick story. There was this person named Chitraketu. And Chitraketu had been given a great benediction by Lord Sankarsana, another name, another incarnation of Krishna. So one day, Chitraketu was flying in his airplane, and he saw Parvati sitting on the lap of Lord Shiva. And he made some comment. And Parvati didn't like his comment. So she said, you fall down right now and become Shudra. He had been elevated as a demigod, but because of he was sort of like laughing. Parvati cursed him. But when he got cursed, Chitraketu said, "Yes, mother, I accept your curse." So she was a little surprised and she asked Lord Shiva. He didn't get angry. He accepted my curse. So this is what Lord Shiva said to Parvati. Persons who are devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everybody say? Not. Are you looking at the sheet? Everybody say? Thank you very much. Narayana Para are never afraid anywhere. Na kutaschana bibhyati. All devotees, sarve, see equal value in even apitu yartha darshana, heaven, a hellish condition, or the path of liberation. Because a devotee is not interested in anything of the material world. A devotee, like Chitraketu, is only interested in returning to the kingdom of God. So this Chitraketu, he was cursed to become a demon. And that demon was known as, I'm slipping my mind, who did he become? Vitrasura. And he was killed by Indra. It took Indra 100 years to kill Vitrasura. But because he was killed by Indra, it was all part of Krishna's arrangement. After that one life as a demon, he went back to the kingdom of God. So during the fight with Indra, Vitrasura said to Indra, "Come on, kill me. I want to go back to Godhead. Would you hurry up and kill me?" And Indra thought he was regaining his position as king of heaven. But Vitrasura said, "I'm actually going to become the winner here." So, of course, he had to give him a big fight. But Vitrasura he knew this was his last birth and that he would go back to Godhead. And now the bonus, especially for my friend here. Okay? This, of course, is from the episode of Krishna's Rasa Leela. So follow along. This is very, very nice. So during the Rasa Leela, Krishna seated himself beside each of the many gopis. And it may be asked herein how he did this. There is a significant word herein, Ishvar. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam. That we will learn in chapter 18, that line. Ishvar refers to the Supreme Lord as the super soul seated in everyone's heart. Krishna also manifested this potency of expansion as Paramatma in this gathering with the gopis. Krishna was sitting by the side of each gopi, unseen by the others. Krishna was so kind to the gopis that instead of sitting in their hearts to be appreciated in yogic meditation, he seated himself by their sides. By seating himself outside, he showed special favor to the gopis, who were the selected beauties of all creation. So Krishna is in your heart. Wouldn't it be great if Krishna right now came out, sat right next to you, and nobody else could see it? That's what happened with the gopis. He did that for all the gopis, but nobody was seeing, so everyone was thinking, oh, it's just me and Krishna. That's how come Krishna is cool. He can do these amazing things. Let's continue. Having gotten their most beloved Lord, the gopis began to please him by moving their eyebrows and smiling, and also by suppressing their anger. Why were they angry? Because previously, when the Rasa dance began, Krishna left them. And he even left Radharani. And why did Krishna do that? He did it for two reasons. The gopis and Radharani became a little proud. So when Krishna saw they became a little proud, Krishna says, I don't like my devotees to be proud. He disappeared. Then Radha and the gopis went to the bank of the Yamuna and sang the famous chapter in the Bhagavatam, Gopi Gita. It's 19 verses. It's considered the topmost chapter in all the 335 chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam, Gopi Gita. The essence of that Gopi Gita, the gopis, even though Krishna left them, they prayed to Krishna to return. So when Krishna saw that the gopis, even though he rejected them, that they didn't reject him, Krishna decided to come back. So that's where we're at. Krishna has come back to the rasa dance. So they were a little angry that Krishna had left them. Dear Krishna, we are ordinary women of Vrindavan, and we do not know much about Vedic knowledge, what is right and what is wrong. We therefore put a question to you, and since you are very learned, you can answer it properly. In dealings between lovers, we find that there are three classes of men. One class simply receives. Another class reciprocates favorably, even if the lover is very contrary. And the third class neither acts contrary nor answers favorably in dealings of love. So out of these three classes, which do you prefer, or which do you call honest? So the first class, they just take, they don't give. The second class takes and gives. And the third class, indifferent. Let's see what Lord Krishna says. My dear friends, persons who simply reciprocate the loving dealings of the other party are just like merchants. They give in loving affairs as much as they get from the other party. Practically, there is no question of love. It is simply self-interested or self-centered business dealing. Even those without a tinge of loving affairs are better than these merchants. Better than the first class is the second class of lovers who love in spite of the opposite party's contrariness. Such sincere love can be seen when the father and mother love their children in spite of their children's neglect. See how great your parents are? Not that you don't, but just see how great. Krishna, lovely. The third class neither reciprocate nor neglect, and they can be further divided into two classes. One comprises the self-satisfied, who do not require anyone's love. They are called Atma Ram, which means they are absorbed in the thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and so do not care whether one loves them or not. But another class comprises the ungrateful. They are called callous. Those in this group revolt against superior persons. For instance, a son, in spite of receiving all kinds of things from loving parents, may be callous and not reciprocate. Those in this class are generally known as Guru Druha, which means they receive favors from the parents or the spiritual master and yet neglect them. Elsewhere, there's another incident where Krishna points out, yes, it's when after Krishna kills Kamsa, Krishna is reunited with Vasudeva and Devaki, because the first 11 years of Krishna's life, he was with Nanda and Yashoda and Vrindavan. So after the killing of Kamsa, the real facts are revealed to Nanda and Yashoda. They realize, they come to know Krishna is really not their son. He's the son of Vasudeva and Devaki. So at that time, Krishna is speaking, and he says that if a son does not take care of the old parents, then that son who doesn't take care of the old parents has to go to hell and eat his own flesh. That's how serious it is. According to what Krishna says, the son has to take care of the aged parents. Let's go back. Krishna indirectly answered the questions of the gopis. even those questions which implied that Krishna did not properly reciprocate their dealings. In answer, Krishna said that he, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is self-satisfied. He does not require anyone's love, but at the same time he said that he is not ungrateful. Krishna continued, "My dear friends, you might be aggrieved by my words and acts, but you must know that sometimes I do not reciprocate my devotees' dealings with me. My devotees are very much attached to me, but sometimes I do not reciprocate their feelings properly in order to increase their love for me more and more. If I can be very easily approached by them, they might think, oh, Krishna is so easily available. So sometimes I do not respond." So, how does this apply to us? So, in my case or in other people's case, you may have a problem and you're praying to Krishna, "Oh, please, Krishna, help me." And it appears that there's no response from Krishna right away. So that means Krishna is testing. This is what happened to my wife. She lost her job, and for 16 months, this is what she was going through. She couldn't get a job, and she was wondering why Krishna is testing me. But after 16 months,